AI coding agents are getting really popular. Tools like Claude Code can read a project, write code, fix bugs, and even they can run your code. But most people think you need a Claude API to do this. In this video, I'll show you how to run Claude Code using Ollama with local models directly on your machine. What is Claude Code? So it is an agentic coding tool that runs on your terminal. It can read, modify, and execute code in your project directory. So I'll show you an example in the further parts. And now using Ollama, we can run it with local models instead of any cloud API. So these are the four basic steps that we have to follow to install Claude Code and run it using our local models. So the first one is going to be installing Claude Code by Anthropic. So you copy this text and paste it on your terminal. And once you do it, you get the installation access for it. And then you got to install Ollama. Again, copy this, paste it on the terminal, and then pull a model. So you can pull any of the models. Maybe I can show you. So here is the website ollama.com. So if you go to the model section, there are multiple models from which you can choose from. For our example, I'll be using Quen or GPT OSS 20 billion parameters. And you guys can just choose whatever you like. If like Quen 3VL, go into it, then you get different parameters. So we have to be careful because each model depends on our machine's RAM. So if it's like 30 billion, it won't run 30 billion won't run well on a 24 GB Mac. I'm using a Mac, so I can talk about it. And if for like a 24 GB Mac, the best option would be like 3 Quen 3.59 billion parameters, or worst case 20 billion parameters GPT OSS. But if you have like 32 GB RAM or beyond that, yeah, you're well to do with 30 billion. And then I'll show you the list of models I have. Ollama list. So these are the models I've downloaded. There's Mistral 7 billion. And so once you pull the model name, so here it's Quen 3.5. You can just choose from your Quen BL 30 billion. I mean, shouldn't be using this for Cloud Code because it's a vision model. I mean, you can use, but consider we are running locally. It won't be that useful. It'll be too expensive. It'll be too computationally expensive. And once you've pulled your favorite model, maybe I'll just show how it's done because I've already downloaded this. It won't take much of that. Ollama pull CPU OSS. It's it's around, I guess, 19 GB, so it'll take the time because I've already downloaded my part. It just quickly loaded in. And then we're gonna choose Ollama launch Claude. Ollama launch Claude. It's the final step. And then here it'll ask which model do you want to use. These are all of my local models. But if you go on the top here, they do, Ollama does provide cloud models, but these are very limited. So if you want to quickly experiment your new MCP tool or a new cloud skill, you can use them. It'll be pretty useful. And I've already ran a task previously to show how it works. This I use the GPT 20 billion OSS parameter. And here I just very vague prompt, create a website from a new coffee shop. Do not stop until you're done. So these local models have a problem where they, cut off in between without finishing the entire code. That's one issue I've found. So I always add do not stop until you're done, and then recognizes which directory it's in. Here it starts writing HTML, and then goes to CSS, and then finally a JavaScript code. Yeah, script.js. And this says, you can replace this image with another image of your choice. So the thing is, it did generate the code, but when I asked it to put it in my directory, it couldn't, and it forgot what it generated because I've not added a memory MCP. So that's one disadvantage that I face. Maybe if you add a memory MCP, everything should be fine. Let's see how the website looks. Yeah, so here's a website. It's very, very, very basic and bad. No, that's one problem with local models. They don't do well. with tasks like these. So these are some examples that you can use your Claude Code with, like explain the code, fixing a bug, writing a script, or refactoring a project. Now, what are the limitations? Very important section. There's a limitation on how much tokens it can process and how much tokens it can output, which will significantly affect the model. Like if you're performing tasks like read my entire project and give me or fix a bug, it has to go to the entire directory. And if the directory has a large code base, then the local models won't work well on that. Another issue is slower generation, which also depends on the GPU, but majority of the times the generation is extremely slow. And this is very hardware dependent because it needs good GPU and RAM. And also it is very less accurate compared to Claude Sonnet or Opus. So local models are best for small or medium projects, and they can be used for learning or privacy if you're concerned about certain code or certain idea of yours getting into the cloud system. You can use this local model. And another majorly I use it for experimentation, seeing new models, how they come out, how do they do with website generation, MCP generation. So that's how you run Claude Code using Ollama and your local models. This is very useful if you want an AI coding agent but want everything running locally. So that's how you run Claude Code using Ollama and local models. I hope this is very useful and thank you for watching.